So first, let's talk about his MBTI. I have a few slides on this for MBTI. He he's an INTP, which is the designer theorizer. What they do is they explore ideas to deepen their expertise. They notice new patterns and elegant connections. They easily cross boundaries of thought. They play with ideas, detach to analyze. They clarify, reference, and define, and they sometimes struggle to attend to the physical world. So they're one of the rational types, being the NTs. So they got an intuitive function and a thinking function dominant for the INTPs. So here's the list of the cognitive functions that the INTPs have in their conscious use, from their top one to their weakest one. So they lead with skillful sleuthing, which is the introverted thinking, TI, which is where you analyze and define situations, solve problems, apply leverage to universal logical principles. It's the introverted thinking. So it's what you filter through your own logical ability that you have inbuilt inside, your own way of referencing things and understanding things. So the people who have introverted thinking have their own inbuilt way of thinking and processing through things. And they learn how to be really specific and evaluate their own logic and how they approach things. His second function, support by excited brainstorming. That's extroverted intuition. This one, you perceive, pursue, and play with life's many potential possibilities, facilitating the promising ones. So this one is the extroverted version of intuition, where you basically branch out and make connections and brainstorm, connecting different possibilities, different ways of approaching things and so it's like a never-ending web that keeps on expanding outwards. And that's kind of the nature of extroverted intuition. It's the opposite of introverted intuition, which comes down to one uh, uniting insight. This one branches out to more possibilities all the time. So you can see with these two functions, he has his own logical way of processing things, and he also has an intuitive approach to things that's always brainstorming and seeing out, making new connections. So that's what allowed him to keep on expanding his philosophy and his understanding of the world and building a bigger and bigger web of understanding and his life's work. So he also has two other functions that are his tertiary and inferior functions. He struggles at cautious protecting, but this is still one of his conscious functions. That's introverted sensing, referencing a massive storehouse of rich past experiences as they cultivate familiarity, comfort, and stability. So it's kind of like you imagine you have like a hard drive of all these stored experiences. It's like your memory bank. So who have introverted sensing as one of the conscious functions have a big storehouse of experiences that they've had from the past that they can easily reference to and pull out and connect to and share at any moment. So this allows him, with his two first functions, to be exploring new concepts and logical ideas and many possibilities, but then he can connect that to his storehouse of all his previous experiences. So, as him being a psychologist, he can relate to how he's interacted with different people, different things he's seen, and different things he's experienced in the past. And that allows him to really have a big storehouse of memories and insights. And so his last conscious function, aspiring to friendly hosting, is extroverted feeling. They tend to relationships, social norms, and people's needs and values as they organize and make thoughtful decisions. So this one, he gets stronger in his life as he gets older. He might have had trouble with this when he was younger and maybe had some difficulty connecting with people on an emotional level. But as he got older and got more control over his inferior function, extrovert feeling, he's able to relate to people better and connect with people. And it makes you sensitive to other people's emotions because it's extroverted feeling. So it's like the feeling dimension connected to other people, not just yourself. So he has this radar of emotions connected to others. So he's developed this over his life, and this is what helps him be a successful psychologist. So that's his functions. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about some subtypes of his two main functions: introverted thinking and extroverted intuition. In Dario Nardi's book, he has a book that goes into the yin and yang styles variations of each of the cognitive functions. And so I identified that Carl Jung's functions are more on the yin side. So this is the holistic yin style as opposed to yang. This function, when it's yin, is receptive, diffuse, flexible, inward, and bottom up. It takes, for introverted thinking, the systemist type, the yin style. It takes multiple points of view. It finds patterns in the chaos. It notices how systems scale, applying principles in a fluid way. And people, art, nature, and technology all interrelate. So he's basically connecting multiple points of view and different aspects of life. And you notice with him, he's not just a psychologist, but he's influenced philosophy, spirituality, psychology, created this whole depth psychology focus. And so, and the arts, even, dreams stuff, and um, even stuff about nature too, with the nature of the psyche being out in the world in nature. So this is it's a creating a bigger web of connections and patterns, identifying patterns that connects many different things together. So that's why it's called systemist, because he's creating like a whole system connecting different things together. His second function is also yin, and it's called catalyst for the extrovert intuition yin style, holistic. Like I said, is receptive, diffuse, flexible, inward, and bottom up. So people who have this will notice subtle patterns between things. They might use humor and disguises, it said in Dario Nardi's book. This is interesting. Extroverted intuition is kind of known as the funniest function to have, like the one that has the most humor, because it can make connections between different things that other people might not see, which can be humorous. Doesn't mean that necessarily Carl Jung was humorous, but it points to the fact that he is able to notice subtle patterns and make connections between different things. And that's just the nature of extroverted intuition. In the yin style, extrovert intuition searches for the highest quality potential possibilities for everyone's gain. So those are his two main functions in the yin style. Now there's also a subtype there's like 4 different subtypes for each type. There's the dominant one, D. There's the creative one, C. Normalizing, N. And harmonizing, H. And identified that Carl Jung's subtype was the harmonizing subtype for the INTP, which is known as the caring theorizer. It's more empathic and reflective than other INTPs. It's most often in a people with this are most often in a people helping role, such as a psychologist or a diplomat. Makes sense for Carl Jung because he was a psychologist. They have a specialty in human interactions, and they're patient listeners and observers, and they can hold multiple models and methods in a light way. So you see, he's sensitive to other people. He knows how to harmonize and help other people, and he's a good listener and observer, and he can connect. He's building with his INTP personality a whole body of work and knowledge of different ideas connected all together. And that's what he was doing. He wrote so many books and he connected so many different things together that he created a whole new philosophy or worldview. But he did that primarily through his psychological work working with patients.